Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
If the new Chicken Big Mac at McDonald's looks like a Big Mac, has 3 buns and sauce like a Big Mac, but has 2 chicken patties, then it's not a Big Mac.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me, featuring my sick voice, but more importantly, Grace Helbig is here.
Yeah,
Woo-hoo.
back with a vengeance.
You haven't been on in so long.
I know, years. I think.
Literally, maybe
like
right?
a year and a half.
Yeah,
Wow.
your place looks great.
Thanks
it
so
got
much.
different.
I moved. It's so big.
This new New York loft that you're
so
recording
rich.
in looks awesome.
Yeah, it just exudes wealth. I just really wanted it to
That's
match
what
my
you wanted it to
aesthetic.
exude.
I mean, I exude wealth, so I needed the place that I live to also exude wealth.
When I think of you in this state right now, I think opulence.
Yeah, doing the most. Honestly, though, doing the most. Sneezing, coughing, dying.
Yeah, what do you have? Just a head cold
I
situation?
think so. I don't know. I got sick on. They've heard this story so many times, but I got sick on Monday. I thought that what it was a popcorn kernel lodged in my throat at the Jonas Brothers concert.
Oh.
It was not. It was truly
Wow.
a real sickness that it took me by surprise because I just kind of cough and get it out. And then
Right.
finally, it was like 4 days later, and I had a fever, and I was like, maybe it wasn't a popcorn kernel.
Or that kernel was really diseased.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it was. So I'm assuming that's what it is. I'm going on an international trip next week, though. So
Perfect.
I need
Take
to go
it
to the
overseas.
doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be better and not be sick.
Grace was sick for like a solid
Yeah,
month.
I've just learned that like phlegm is my natural state now.
Oh no!
Which I mean, it's one of those things that if anyone else was in my body, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to a doctor
Yeah.
immediately," and I'm like, "It'll fix itself eventually." I'm
Yeah.
pretty patient with it.
Have you ever gotten a neti pot? Have you done that?
Have not done that.
That's a good time.
Is it?
Oh, it is, especially if you're like really mucusy and phlegmy.
Yeah.
It is. It's fun. Like
I
you can
haven't
feel
done it yet.
actual. It's like when you poop when you really have to poop, and you're like,
Mhm.
I'm so like light and like bouncy now. That's how your nose feels. Like it's like full weights out of your nose, and like your head gets lighter.
Wow.
It's
okay.
amazing.
I will have to, save a Friday or Saturday night for
Oh.
a real fun time.
It is also so fucking terrible because the feeling that you get when you get water in your nose, that's what you're just intentionally doing.
I think I'd be freaked out with
Oh, it's
myself. And you have
painful.
to like do it in front of a mirror. So I'd be
Yes.
forcing myself to watch myself go
Drown.
through pain. And,
You're
like,
just
watching-
drowning yourself, and you're like you're actually feel like you're dying, but it all comes out.
Yeah. Okay. One day.
I'm gonna do that later. It got me all excited.
Did you do the peroxide thing in the
Which
ear?
one?
I was gonna say
No.
that, but yeah, that's
But-
the other thing. The earwax stuff. I haven't done that either.
Melissa was telling me about all these different tricks, but I did take a bobby pin to Maz's ear and cleaned out the earwax. Oh my
that
god,
Good.
Yeah.
that's what she told me to do.
Really?
I did it when I was a child, and I still do it.
And child Melissa was an MD.
Shit. I got so much shit out of his ears,
Right? I told you.
so
right.
much, but like
I feel like I'd do like eardrum damage or
insane.
No,
something.
it doesn't. You can see it, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
feel it.
So you're
before
basically
we get-
playing Operation on your
Yeah,
ear
you're
by
just
yourself.
scraping it out.
yeah. And I have none. I have no fucking earwax.
Humble
Well,
brag.
yeah,
Jeez.
No,
I was like,
I'm-
as
I-
someone
as-
that's waxy.
Someone
I know. That's what I wouldn't want to do it because I don't want to see what's going on
But
in there.
I, as someone who loves to pick and loves paws and everything, when I was like, I have nothing, like I was so sad. But then I just did
Disappointed.
his, and he was like, "Can you please get out of my ears?" I'm like, "No, there's more. This is so fun." And I like was putting it all onto like a white piece of paper so he could see it all. And he's like, "I don't
Just
need
showing
to
him
see
his
it."
shame.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's so gross."
You're disgusting,
yeah.
and there's proof.
And then we were Googling what different colors and consistencies meant. It was a good time. It was a romantic night.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a real bonding.
Good
moment.
foreplay. Good fucking foreplay. Honestly, though, that is like for me. I'm like, yeah, this is what it does for me. Well, guys, this is an advice podcast. If you're new here, Welcome. If you want to give us a call for an upcoming episode, our phone number is 310-694-0976. My cold medicine did not make me forget that, even though I thought it did.
Impressive.
International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, I'm ready.
Hi, I am 20 years old and I just finished my sophomore year in college. And I recently, well, not too recently, probably a good 6 months ago, I started talking to this guy, and it was nothing serious. And from the start, I just didn't want to be in a relationship, as I got out of a toxic relationship not that long beforehand, before I started talking to this guy. And things were going smoothly. It was a fun time. He seemed like a good guy. And recently he tried asking to borrow probably about, I think it was $126 from me, which kind of freaked me out, as we're not that close. And I talked to my friends about it, and they all freaked out, trying to tell me to, get away from him, because I'm fortunate and I've been used before for money reasons. And it's not that I wouldn't mind helping. It's just that it's kind of, I can't help but get the feeling that he's trying to use me. So I don't know if I should keep talking to him or not, because, I never got the feeling from him that he seemed like he had, questionable intentions, but now I can't help but think that he does. Sorry for rambling and talking so quickly, but yeah, I just don't know what to do in this situation, because I kind of did start seeing something more with him, after a while, but now this situation has just kind of scared me.
Did she pay him?
It sounds like she didn't.
Yeah.
Or it sounds like she's in the middle of deciding whether she should or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're a sophomore in college. You don't want a relationship. This guy hasn't, from what it sounds like, proposed a relationship. He's just sort of seemed interested in you and then asked you for money, which is a red flag across the board. It can be the most Prince Charming of Prince Charmings, but I think you just say flat out, I'm not comfortable lending you money.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't like you any less. And then if he goes, cool, sorry, and backpedals and actually wants to hang out with you, then there's possibility for something there. Mm-hmm. But if he gets weird and starts distancing himself after you're just no, I'm not comfortable lending someone money in this situation, then that's a bad dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's weird that he asked. I'd be done just now. Because if I was going out with a guy for even for a little while, and I don't want to say as opposed to if we were out at a restaurant and we had gotten dinner and he was holy fucking shit, I left my wallet.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm no, I got this. It's fine. But if it's hey, can I borrow? It's just odd, because not that you guys are casually dating or whatever, but you shouldn't be your relationship with him shouldn't be the first person he would ask.
Yeah.
There should be a line, if you and there's no shame in not being able to make ends meet and needing to ask someone for a loan or for money, but there's a list of people
there's
that you would
hierarchy of other people.
And if you were the first person, so no matter which way you go, it's bad. If you were the first person, it's fucking weird. But also if you weren't the first person and he got turned down by all of the other people, and he still asked you, that's really fucking weird.
Also, $126. What is it for?
So specific.
And if it's a parking ticket and he's I can't pay my parking ticket, I'm embarrassed to even ask you this, is there any way I could borrow money? Still weird. Like you said, there should be other people that have the capability to lend him money. And if they don't, then that's another red flag of his relationships with other people. Also, $126 to a sophomore in college is a lot of money.
Yeah, that's my mind immediately was what do you need? What do you absolutely need that for? That you're also the person that he's asking. And I'm not here to perpetuate the toxic masculinity thing of being oh, guys need to be strong and pay for things. But even if the roles were reversed and it was a heterosexual guy calling in and a girl was asking for that,
still weird.
Yeah, I think it's just still weird, because you're, especially if you're casually dating somebody, that's when it's best foot forward. I don't fart. I am so cute. I'm the best. And if this is him being the most polished, best foot forward version of himself, and the best foot forward version of himself is asking for money, what is him a year and a half into a relationship?
Right. Also, she's been used for money in the past. So there's probably some sort of emotional conditioning that giving money is a sign of like love to the person that you're with, and just you need to be really confident in the fact or understand it's fundamentally probably easier to understand than actually believe that you not giving this person money doesn't make you a bad person and doesn't make you any less attractive overall to someone that's really going to be want a genuine relationship with you. Especially if this is something that you've gone through in the past. Like I'm sure there is conditioning of like, if I give him money, he'll like me more. That's not the case.
No. I say cut your lot, like just be done with him now and like just say like, yeah, like I'm not comfortable like giving you money. And then if he gets weird, if you can look past it and like move on, then I think like that's fine. And if he can too, but like be wary of it. But if it was me in the situation, it would automatically be like, I don't think you're hot anymore. I am unattracted to you. Like, this is gross.
Yeah, I think because I also am like one of those people that wants to like help everyone and wants to make everyone feel good. But I think at this point, I just be like, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about like, that's weird to me? I feel bad for you, but I've been used before and I don't like this situation. And so this is like a weird thing that I have to kind of create a boundary for.
Yeah. It's just fucking weird. Just fucking weird.
Plus, you're on a college campus. There's probably tons of other people out there. Move on to someone that has good credit.
Yeah. Ooh. Nothing is sexier than good credit.
Right.
Like, damn, boy, do you pay your car on time?
I know.
You got all your payments on time.
You can pay your tuition.
Oh, so hot. That's pretty hot. I didn't even go to college. I'm wet for your good credit.
Also, it sounds like you have good friends if they're all like telling you immediately like, I don't trust this person, then rely on them more. It seems like they care about you.
Yeah.
So that's good for you. It's not like you're alone in this.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to be generous and want to treat people to things, but it's like, I'm a big fan of like treating people to stuff and being generous, but like most of the time my friends are like, please stop. Like, I don't want you to do this anymore.
Right.
But like if then they ever turned and were like, hey, can I have this? I'd be like, what? Like, like, it's just like an odd thing. And especially if you have been taken advantage of before, to me, that sounds like you're probably a pretty generous person. Yeah. And then if someone can see that you're generous and then is like, ooh, how can I squeeze more out of her? Like, that's how you know they're fucking shit.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like hard and devastating to like see, to not want to believe that someone's good and that might be a hiccup, and then to see that like, oh, they're actually like, this is part of their personality, and that can be a huge bummer, and it's hard to walk away from that. But seems like you got more stuff going on that's good in your world.
Tell him boy bye.
Hey,
it's my new thing. Everyone, tell him boy bye. Boy bye. On to the next.
Hi, Megan and Mel and special guest. I have a situation that I definitely need help with. I am turning 21 in 2 days, and I have been with my boyfriend for about 3 months now. His parents own a yoga studio, and his ex-girlfriend works for his parents at their yoga studio. There could be much worse situations. However, just wait, it gets better. I teach spin and bar at a different studio, and she comes to my classes. She's really sweet, and I have a difficult time not being nice to her, especially in the professional settings where I'm the instructor. However, there have been numerous occasions where she's had one-on-one conversations with me, either trying to talk poorly about my boyfriend to me, or tells me about times that she would spend the night at his house, or how perfect of a fit she would have been for his family. Because she is so involved in the community, my boyfriend and his family don't see a problem with inviting her to dinner, or even just going to dinner or brunch with her separately. However, it makes me really uncomfortable, and it feels wrong that it makes me uncomfortable. I feel like I'm expected to be okay with the entire situation, even though she is his ex, and that isn't going to change. But also, I don't feel I should have to compromise with everything. And I'm not really sure how to handle this situation, especially considering my birthday is coming up in 2 days, because I'm really scared that someone's going to invite her to go out with us. And I really just don't want her there. I don't want my boyfriend's ex there. And I don't feel like that's too wrong of an expectation to set. In fact, she was at my class this morning and asked me what I wanted for my birthday. It's a really strange situation, and at times I feel like my life is some realistic sitcom. Like, hello, friends, here I am, and my life, it doesn't make sense, and it's this weird, ironic mess that I sincerely and genuinely need so much help with. So, if you have any amazing advice for how to handle the situation with my boyfriend or his parents or his ex, please let me know, because at this point, I'm resorting to just killing her with kindness because I'm a little bit of a petty bitch. And, I don't want her having the upper hand. So please just let me know what you think I could do in this situation.
Wow. Oh, first of all, dude, that sucks a dick.
Dude,
that
sucks so hard.
Wow. Yeah, that's enmeshed to the max.
I'm just like, I feel like I don't want, happy belated birthday. But also like, I feel so bad for you because this is one of those situations when like, if you're like just talking to one other person, you like disagree on something and you're like, you don't necessarily think you're crazy, but like if there's a whole fucking family and your boyfriend who are on one side and then it's just you and you're like, wait, am I being like, you're not being crazy at all.
You're being so reasonable.
So they're being fucking insane.
It's bonkers all the way around. And like you said, it's probably, you feel like an island of one right now in this situation, especially when there's adult parents that seem like this is okay. Like, turns out like sometimes parents are bonkers.
Oh my God.
Completely insensitive and way backwards about the way that they handle situations. I think, first of all, everything that you're feeling is good and genuine and reasonable and normal and healthy and the right way to be thinking about this. But it is also, as a 21-year-old now, it's hard to like put your foot down, especially with like parents of someone. They're only 3 months into dating, so it's relatively new. So you don't want to be like, I'm the jealous girlfriend, when you're not. You're being a reasonable human being.
Yeah, it's just like, it's exactly that. Like, they're being unreasonable. Like the idea that like, I'm not friends with exes, but like more than that, the idea that I would want like my like boyfriend to be friends with my ex and be cool with me being friends with my ex. Like there's all these levels here. Like, it doesn't matter. No matter how cool and chill and great they think that she is, like, she doesn't serve the same purpose in his life. So like, it's not like a childhood friend that like they had a flirtation or whatever. Like, that they were introduced to her as his girlfriend and you are now his girlfriend. Like, they don't owe the relationship with her anything.
No, there's a certain imbalance of respect going on right now. Like, you're being so sweet and thoughtful, and like, even considering that the way you're feeling feels wrong is so sweet of you to like have those thoughts. And the fact that they're not trying to make you feel more comfortable is a bit of a bummer. And maybe it is just a really direct conversation with your boyfriend. You have to talk to the parents, let the boyfriend talk to his parents on your behalf. Maybe it's like, just be as direct as you can and then see what happens from there. Like, that's all you can really do. I've had that in relationships where a boyfriend has like called me out on talking too much about previous relationships, and not in a way that I was like longing for them or anything, just in storytelling about like events and things. And he was like, I'm kind of uncomfortable hearing about all your previous relationships. And I got defensive for a second, but then realized like, no, if the tables were turned, I would feel the exact same way that he does. And because I want to treat people how I want to be treated, it's up to me now to make changes to make this person comfortable. So I would say just present it as bluntly as possible.
Yeah. And I think if your boyfriend then is like, no, but like, it's fine, it's cool. Like, you have every right to be not cool and not okay with it. And like, the way that they're presenting it to you and talking to you about it is as if like you're the crazy one. But if he had another girlfriend, this is exactly how she would feel too. Like, this is not this is not you being hypersensitive or anything like that. So I think if you tell your boyfriend, and also like, you can even tell your boyfriend, like, yeah. And like, as much as you guys say that she's cool, like, it puts me in a weird position because like, I'm nice to her when she comes to my class all the time, which is awkward enough because she comes and wants to talk shit about you. Like,
that's the thing that gets me, because like, I'm friends with my exes, like friends with their girlfriends, like current girlfriends too, but I would never talk shit about them.
And that's like why
I would
never
manipulative. And I never go out of my way. Like, there's something a little off, a little bonkers about her showing up to your class. One, showing up to your class. You can spin somewhere else, I'm sure. And two, like, then talking to you and inserting herself into your relationship in a way of like, what would you like for your birthday? There's a little like petty, weird stuff on her end.
I'm gonna wear your skin.
That was like single white femaling situation. And also like, you don't owe this girl comfort. Like, you don't need to make this woman comfortable because she's making you uncomfortable. Killing someone with kindness is obviously like a great philosophy, but I think that you can be a little bit more assertive. And if you're brave enough, this is easier said than done. Like, let her know, like, I'm a little uncomfortable, like, with you being so close in our relationship. Hopefully you respect that. I know if like tables were turned in this situation, you probably wouldn't want someone like feeling like they're encroaching on your relationship as it's in like the building stages of it. And that's not invalid to like feel or say.
Yeah, because I think like especially if your boyfriend's partaking in it and if he has any sort of like gripe with you wanting to have the separation, to me it sounds like a guy who like wants to keep his options open. And like it's like, as sucky as that is, it's like he's okay with his parents still romanticizing her and keeping her around because he isn't totally done with the idea of her in the long term. Like,
yeah, because it sounds like if she keeps saying how she could have been a great fit, that he probably broke up with her.
Yeah.
And then it's too enmeshed for the parents in the business to like have her completely leave.
And he's not squashing it. And that's what happens. Like when parents still have attachment to like exes and whatever, like that's their child who has been in that relationship. It's their responsibility to be like, no, that's my relationship. That's done. I don't want you to talk to them anymore. Like we need that separation. This is my new girlfriend. Like I need you to respect her. And if he's not doing that, to me, that sounds like he's just not a good boyfriend. Like that's that I think like you need to like, it's not even just necessarily about like, oh, she needs to stop doing this. Like he needs to not want her to be doing this.
There's
like,
a lack of maturity in that, of like understanding like if this is going to be a serious relationship and she's trying to be mature and respectful, like he owes her that too.
Yeah. I think it's just like in general, if the person you're dating is too close with their ex and it makes you uncomfortable, your boyfriend or girlfriend's number one priority for person who they want to make feel comfortable is you. Like it's not their ex. Like he doesn't always act like, well, I don't want to hurt my ex's feelings. It's like, well, you're not dating her. Like
you already hurt her feelings, so she clearly wants to still be with you, and you broke it off.
And you don't have to see her all the time. It's like the person that you have to, like that you owe it to is the person that you're actively pursuing and like in a relationship with. And if he's not going to give you that level of respect that he's giving her and like that like niceness, I think that you need to be able to feel confident to walk away from the situation knowing that it's not you and that this situation is like an unrealistic ask of anybody. Like, and if he dates somebody else, like he'll date a girl and then she'll be like, oh, what the fuck? No, I'm not down for this at all.
Yeah. Can you imagine celebrating your 21st birthday and she just showed up? I would lose my fucking mind.
There's a girl who works out at my gym that my boyfriend hooked up with like years ago. And when he told me about it, I was like, oh, I want to find out what girl it is. And he was like, no, please don't. And I'm like, no, I'm going to find out. And then the next time I was in a workout class, I could tell quickly because she was death glaring me. But it was like one of those things that I'm like, he literally was like, well, what time does she go? I don't want to fucking go. Like is avoiding like the plague. And I'm like, that's how it should be. And he's like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, you hooked up with a girl when you're like 23 when I didn't even know you and you're apologizing to me. Like
that's thoughtfulness.
And it's like avoiding those situations. Like you should never want to put your significant other in a situation where they could potentially feel uncomfortable. And then if you're doing it, then being like, well, why do you feel weird? Like this is fine.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how nice this girl is. That's also sometimes kind of worse. Like when like your ex has like a really nice girlfriend, you're like, oh, I want to hate you so bad, but you're so fucking nice. Like it doesn't even matter if she's like chill and cool and nice. It's also so fucking weird. Like, okay, I mean, she's definitely.
This girl doesn't sound nice though. This girl sounds
she's a
calculated and
she's a Scorpio or she's a Leo.
Yeah, this ex-girlfriend sounds like she's going out of her way to make you uncomfortable and she knows it. Like there's no world in which this is an accident that she's showing up and you happen to be the teacher of these classes and it's an accident that she starts word vomiting like that she could have been perfect for their family. Like that's
it's
crazy.
Intentional. It's like very much an intentional. She's trying to make you insecure in your relationship too. Yeah. And she's trying to insert herself and keep herself around so then you become the girl who goes fucking crazy and insane and then she's there looking like this stable, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how this happened. And then suddenly like she's the light and everyone's like, oh, he should be back with her.
Totally. And if she can't get to the ex-boyfriend, she's getting to him through you.
Yeah. And through his parents.
And that's not fair.
No.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think you can continue to kill her with kindness because it sounds like you sound like a very sweet person in general. You don't sound like very like ruthless in that sense. But I think having a super honest, direct conversation with your boyfriend is like the way to go.
I think your boyfriend needs to hear you out. And if he doesn't hear you out, I think like fucking kick him to the curb.
Boy,
because
bye.
Yeah, boy bye. Yeah, boy bye. Boy bye. Oh, should we go on to the next?
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm 18 years old and I am calling for some advice basically about healing, I guess you could say, like moving on from previous relationships. So basically, just recently broken up with, and in one of my first relationships is very like physically abusive. Second one, very like sexually abusive, and I guess just in a lot of my relationships, I've dealt with a lot of people kind of, I feel like, using me for sex, and like basically that being like the predominant factor in the relationship. And just recently with the person who broke up with me, it's been kind of hard because in previous relationships I've had reasons to be angry with the person, but in this case, like, there's nothing really wrong with the guy. He never did anything bad to me. He just really didn't have feelings for me. So I guess what I'm calling and asking about is I get like a lot of anxiety about these kinds of things, and like just kind of feeling like I've only been used for sex for the past like few relationships, and just on a lot of relationships in my life and stuff. So I'm just calling and I guess asking for advice about how to be basically like move on from these relationships and encounters and kind of, I guess, avoid being used and kind of ending up heartbroken. So thank you so much. I love your podcast, and I kind of look up to you as a big sister. So thank you.
So nice.
Wow.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's rough.
It is.
I think, like, how old did you say she was?
She's a teenager.
18? I heard 18.
She's 18.
Yeah.
18. So you're very young.
Yeah. I think like one of the saddest things that I think we've like learned in the last like year or so is like how incredibly common it is for just like women in general to have ended up in like multiple relationships or situations that are just like not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now is the time that like we're like not that we were accepting of that kind of behavior before, but then kind of realizing that it's not that, as much as like that was that has been the norm for so long and for so many people, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And I think like while it might be hard, especially when it's like time after time after time for you for a while, I think like if you look at your life in like the scheme of like how much more of your life you have to live, like this period of your life is going to be like relatively short.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to like victim shame or blame at all, because like it has nothing to do with you and like any like predators or like assault and any like shitty people, like they're going to be doing that regardless. But at least for me, I got into the habit of when I would hop from like unhealthy relationship to unhealthy relationship, like it was because I didn't give myself the time to like think that I deserved more than that and better than that. And it wasn't that like I was letting these people do this to me, but it was like the first time that someone treats you really shitty and really bad, as sad as it is, like there could be parts of you that are like, oh, this is what I deserve, this is all that I'm worth. And then it's not that you let other people do that again, but you tend to seek out other people who validate that really negative thought that you have of yourself. And not that I think that like you brought this upon yourself at all, but I think at least for me, I got into a really terrible habit of dating people who fulfilled like the worst image I had of myself. And it wasn't until that I took like a year-long break from dating anybody. And I always said that it was like my picker was off, and that like I was subconsciously seeking out these people. And when I took that like long break and I started like dating so many different kinds of people, not the people that I was immediately attracted to. And that can be also like a super fucked up thing that happens with like, if you've been like any time with like toxic relationships or like emotional abusive, anything like that, like your psyche can then make you attracted to those things, which is so fucked up. And like, you're like, brain, this is so not nice to me. Like, why would you make me like then be attracted to these people or someone who reminds me of someone?
Form of like self-harm.
Exactly. And I think like for me, it was taking a huge break. And then it was like, I'm not going to immediately go after the guys that I'm automatically interested in, because that hasn't done well for me, because I don't think that I'm attracted to what's good for me. I think like it's like fulfilling this terrible thing. And so that for me was like then dating people that were nothing like my type, and just like a really like broad range, and also like taking my time with it, because I think that was also like when you jump from relationship to relationship, like you can tend to put a lot of importance on someone else, like fixing you and making you feel validated and worthy and okay. And that like you're never going to get over this like bad relationship or like this toxic abuse unless like until you get into a good relationship, when in reality, like it doesn't have to do with a partner. Like you move on from all of that stuff solo and by yourself. And until you do that, I just find that like no matter how great a guy is, he's never going to make you feel better, because like this is something that you have to deal with on your own, which and like as I'm learning in therapy, like not by yourself, but like with somebody who's not that role that you're trying to fill. Like no one is ever big enough to fill that role, because like you've had these things happen to you and like you need to process and deal with them and what they mean to you as a person and who you are and how you deal with your feelings and emotions and relationships. But you can't process that and deal with that in a relationship with a romantic partner.
Yeah, I agree. I think, first of all, these two people that used you in that way suck. They're terrible people and clearly have their own problems. Two, I was going to say, I think if you have the means or any sort of resources to talk to a therapist or a counselor, there's probably a lot of lingering trauma from those situations that's going to affect the way that you approach relationships moving forward. And I'm sure you feel devastated right now because you just got broken up with in a relationship where you can't pinpoint something that they did wrong that you could, which is what we'd use a lot. I know anytime a relationship ended, I would look for all the negative things that person did to me so I could move on, but it wasn't even really moving on. Like I was just using excuses to move forward. And same, I started going to therapy consistently last year. And that's like the biggest tool that's helped me find a relationship that feels strong in its foundation and makes me feel valid, and I feel valid feeling great about myself in the relationship. That I think that, and I'm no specialist to talk to any of the trauma that you've been through, but I think at 18 recognizing that you had really toxic, shitty, using type of relationships is huge, because now you have a tool to start talking and working through all that and to be able to pinpoint when or if it happens in a future relationship. Because a lot of people, like you were saying, now in this culture, it's been lots of things have been brought to light. So I think a lot of people have these realizations that they had all these shitty experiences without even really knowing it, because they had no way to they didn't truly believe that was as bad as it was. Like we rationalized the good out of really bad traumatic situations. So being able now to just start here's your jumping off point. I think you should really work on yourself and not worry about having to find, like you said, a great partner that validates you and, quote, fixes you.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly it.
Being 18 sucks anyway. This is a lot.
Yeah. But exactly like you said, the realization of knowing that, it took me therapy and way longer to realize oh wow,
to unpack all those situations.
So much of this stuff that I was carrying baggage on from these other things, and and
you have no idea, and then it's oh, I didn't realize that I had this bomb minefield of triggers that come from other things that have affected the way I've interacted in a relationship in my now present day.
Yeah. As I have two therapists, but as one of them says, my favorite line, if it's
if it's hysterical.
She knows. But if it's hysterical, it's historical. And that for me, I was like, oh, wow.
What does that mean exactly?
Basically, if you're in an argument with someone or something happens, even if it doesn't regard anyone else, and your reaction, it just feels so blown out of proportion. It's because you're, as opposed to being the base level, if for the audio listeners, I'm doing hand gestures.
Yeah.
But for the base level being here, instead it's here. It's because this has happened so many times before that your threshold for it, you just go from 0 to 100 so fast. So as opposed to getting if someone says something, it's essentially just triggers. If someone says something that would make anyone else sad, but it makes you absolutely devastated, it's because it's not the first time you've heard it.
Yeah.
And it just takes your mind right back to that. And I think that for me was incredibly helpful in dating, especially, was the fact that I was oh wow, was just loved crazy guys. Like I loved a guy who would like show up, like drive 3 states away and show up where I was for my birthday. And I was like so romantic,
impulsive,
and I'm, like, fucking insane.
Yeah,
but like then there were certain things that like and I would then get into this habit of like playing games with them because like they would play mind games with me, I would play mind games with them, and like that became exciting and what I liked.
Yeah.
And when I tried to do that for the first time with like my current boyfriend, he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, and I was like, "Oh, I'm like out of town. Like, so sorry, I can't come." He's like, "No, I literally what? Like, we still have the same calendar. Like, I know you're in town. Like, why are you avoiding me? Like, whatever." And I was just like, and it just became this whole thing that it was like, when someone else presented as like such a rational thing. And then even same thing in therapy. It's like when someone says something, so like when they say that these things that you think in your mind or like you spiral in your mind and someone says it in such a rational way that you're like, yeah, there is no point for me. The reason why I'm doing this is because this is what I've known. Like this is what I've done before, and it becomes a habit. It's not the only way to do it. It just means it's the only way you really know how to do it. And the way that you probably feel the most comfortable. And like the guys that you probably feel the most like immediately attracted to or comfortable around, or you feel like you have like a repertoire with immediately, are probably similar to the guys who've treated you like shit, because that's what you know. And as much as like it's the devil you know versus the devil that you don't, and like as scary as that is, I think like the most important thing you can do is, like you said, like you need like the space away from trying to find somebody to fill that and to make you, I don't know, I think at least like with relationship in general, like they all fail until one doesn't. Yeah. And I think like for me, I definitely, every time I would have a bad relationship, like I wanted like in my mind to know, it's like if you get like rejected or something, you're like want to like, oh, I want to get on a dating app and I want to like, I just want to know that I'm still cool. Like I want to know I'm still hot.
I want to be fulfilled by attention that's positive.
Yeah. And so then when it comes to relationships, like that's just so much harder, because it's like you have a bad relationship, you want to be validated knowing that you can have a good relationship. Yeah. But then you're hopping right back into something, and like that's not like a quick fix sort of thing. And I think like,
and it's gonna fuck with your self-worth. Like there's this whole thing in the Eckhart Tolle books about pain bodies. Like we all have these pain bodies, which are essentially like the negative views that we have about ourselves. And a lot of times we just feed those pain bodies because, like you said, it's super familiar. Yeah. So I'm sure you're subconsciously seeking out a certain type of person that makes you feel a certain way that you're so used to feeling, albeit completely negative and shitty and used. And so it's like talking to someone outside of a romantic relationship to start figuring out like, why do I seek this out? Yeah. These have been really terrible situations in the past. I want to move forward. And I know you asked about healing. Everyone's healing process is totally different. So it's hard to be like, here's the actual formula of exactly what to do, and this will be the outcome for you. It's just starting to ask yourself more, I guess, deeper questions about yourself. And it's so, as someone that's a monogamous, like serial monogamous, like dating person, it's so easy to seek out a relationship after a breakup just to fulfill that like the distraction and not want to feel alone. Because when you're alone, you're faced with all of your pain bodies. You're faced with all the negative things. You're faced with all the memories of the bad stuff that's happened. You're faced with all like the self-loathing of like not feeling enough. But if you're in a new relationship and someone is validating that you're like pretty and fun and stuff like that, then you don't have to, you can ignore working through any of that. So it sounds like you're ready to start doing the work. Yeah. Which is unfortunately what it is. It's work.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily like fun, which my therapist always laughs at me when I'm like, this isn't fun. She's like, well, it's not supposed to be fun. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't like it. And she was like, well, I think it's helping. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not having a good time.
I know. I avoided therapy for so long because I knew it was not going to be fun. And I knew I'd be lying. And I've gone to therapy in the past, consistently lying to my therapist because I don't want to reveal how bad I feel or any of the bad situations. So I'll just give her like 10%
surface level.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, why am I not getting better? Oh, because I'm not actually participating 100%. I'm giving this person a lot of money to not help me do anything.
Like, I just want you to think I'm cool. And I have my shit together.
Think that like I'm like kind of a little bit of a mess, but like I already like I'm really self-aware about it.
Like, I already know what I'm doing wrong. And like, why are you here?
I mean, calling into you, I think, is a really great step to even be able to be like, I feel shitty right now and I don't want to feel shitty. That's like literally the first step.
Yeah. Well, best of luck. Sending you lots of love. Okay, guys, it's time for a quick break and we'll be right back. On to the next.
I am 22 years old, and I am currently talking to a guy that is 20. I've been talking to him for what's going to be 10 months in about 2 weeks, so 9.5 months. And we are still not dating. So I met him in the summertime. We talked for about 2 weeks before we got, you know, like we started kissing and stuff like that. And he did tell me at first, like, he told me, he's like, I'm not looking for a relationship right now, but I want to like enjoy this with you while we can, because I do really like enjoy your presence. And I wasn't looking for a relationship either, because I had just gotten out of a serious 3-year relationship at the time that had been over for 2 years though. So like I wasn't just, it's not a rebound. But we were honest and upfront about that. And so I didn't think that we would be talking for very long, but here I am. It's been 9.5 months, and we really do have feelings for each other. We both say that we care about each other a lot, and we talk every single day, all day. We hang out every weekend. I sleep over at his house. Like, we haven't had sex yet, but that's like a personal thing. Neither one of us are really ready for that if we're not going to be in a relationship. So I don't know. Okay, the big problem is he still won't date me. And like, he says that he likes me and he still wants to talk to me. And like, I don't know. I feel like we both have so much love for each other, but he's still not ready for that. And I personally feel like he needs to go to therapy, because he had like a really bad relationship before he met me, and like a year before he met me, and he's still not over that. And so I'm not going to date him until he's like ready to date. But I don't know how to bring up to him like, hey dude, you need to go to therapy because this is like an issue and I can see it's hurting you. And also, like, we want to date each other, but that's never going to happen if you don't like get to the bottom of what you're going through.
Oh my God.
Stop talking to him. He doesn't. But also, I know you won't stop talking to him.
You
so
won't.
This advice is a moot point,
Yeah,
because
she's already been like,
she's like, should I stop talking to him? I don't want to stop talking. Girl, I've been there. I can tell you, I could scream as loud as possible that this boy doesn't like you and is taking you on a ride for his own benefit, and you're not getting as much out of this as he is. But you're not gonna hear it, I don't think.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing that like sucks when it comes to fuckboys. It's like we have selective hearing. We're like, this is the thing. He likes you. He's told you he likes you, and he does like you.
Sure.
He just doesn't like you that much.
Yeah.
He doesn't like you enough to not want to date, and he doesn't like you enough to date you. And like, as much as that sucks, like it's a true fact. And like, I'm sure you've probably been in positions in that same way where like there's been guys that like you've enjoyed flirting with and you liked, but like you wouldn't date, but like it's still fun. That's who you are in this situation.
Yeah. And it sucks. It just sucks all around. It's uncomfortable. Who knows if whatever the chaos or drama is from his previous relationship, if that's even real. Because I know that's like a very convenient excuse to be like, I'm not ready to date. I had a traumatic previous relationship. I've used that excuse because I was too much of a pussy to tell a boy that I don't think this is going to go any further. And like it happens with people. All of the telltale signs are there that this guy is just kind of, if you're willing, going to keep you around at arm's length, because the shittier thing is like you in this mentality, if another girl swoops in, all of a sudden they start dating, it's going to be devastating. Yeah. So you, I think, need to start separating now and like move on a little bit. Who knows in the future if the stars align and work separately has been done on each other, that it makes sense and you guys like hit it back off and like go right into a relationship. That's, you know, what happened with the guy I'm dating right now. It's like we hung out in the past and it wasn't the right time. And I was very much the one that like wasn't ready. Yeah. And so now the stars aligned and it's like a much solid, healthier situation. Yeah. So that's never out of the question. But for now, it seems like this guy, I mean, it's really been 10 months, 9.5 months,
so many
2
numbers.
years, 3 years,
like 1 year. Like he also told you from the very beginning, like that he wasn't looking for anything serious. And I think like a lot of the time in general, I think we should all just be more honest with ourselves when we when we respond to things like that, like I never think you should go into a situation like when you're like defining the relationship or whatever, asking for someone what they want. I think the most important thing is just laying your cards out on the table and be like, this is what I feel, because your feelings can't be conditional on how they feel. So if like they're like, oh, I want something casual, and you're like, oh yeah, me too.
Right.
Like, no, like if you don't want something casual, that's why you need to be the one to open the conversation and be like, hey, I really like you. I really care about you. I would really love for us to like actually date.
And if that's not going to happen, I need to leave.
Yeah, because it's not fair, because I think like as much as you said like back then you were cool with it, at the end of the day, I think you have been prioritizing him versus any other guy that you've been dating, because like as much as you weren't ready to date, he was a convenient guy to kind of be there and like you to hang out with, no pressure, as you got over your breakup. And then you didn't put any energy and effort into anyone else. And so it's all in him. And so now you're waiting, being like, okay, well, I'm ready to date. And he from the beginning told you that he wasn't ready to.
So on his end, he's like, I haven't ever lied to you.
Yeah.
And it's a really also a convenient lie we tell ourselves, because it's embarrassing to be the one that's more in than the other person.
Yeah.
It's very easy when you meet someone that you genuinely really like to lie to yourself and say, I also don't want a relationship. But like you said, you were checked out of your 3-year relationship 2 years before.
Yeah.
So you've already like moved on emotionally from that situation. So I don't think you're grieving the loss of that relationship since you were mentally checked out already. So you probably were ready to date this person.
Yeah.
And you, because he wasn't, tried to make it cool and chill and like not dramatic by also saying, yeah, on paper, I just got out of a long-term relationship. So I clearly probably am not ready to date you, even though I secretly, if you wanted to date me, I'd probably also say I want to date you right now.
Yeah. And it's just not like, I don't think it's fair to future you, because like, the more that you stick around, it totally sucks. But exactly like you said, he's going to meet some girl and he is going to immediately start dating her. They've known each other for 2 weeks and he just knows.
Yeah.
If you've been around for 9.5 months and he doesn't know, that's because it's a no.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't just stick around. That doesn't just happen in that way. And you can really care for somebody and that can still not be your person. And like he might wish it was you. He might really wish like, you know what, this would be so much more convenient. I really do like you, but like I don't like you enough in that way. Like that's just like, it's just not what I want right now. And like, that's not what it is. And if it's not enough, like you never want to be that person who's like tugging the person that you're dating to like you as much as them. Like you don't want that. You don't want to have someone to play catch up where you have to dial back your feelings because you don't want to come off too strong and be too crazy. Like that's not how it should be. And like it truthfully is like, if someone wants to be with you, they will be with you. And like, especially after all of this time, like, I also think like I've had friends who've like started talking to guys when they were in going through like breakups and like or dealing with it, and they've been like, hey, I really like you and I am not in a good place right now, so like let's not talk, like let's separate, and when I'm doing better, let's go out again. But it's not like, oh, I can keep you, if he's okay with keeping you around as a friend through that whole process. To me, that's not going to go anywhere. Like he wouldn't have done that if he truly thought that you guys had a future together and all of that stuff. He wouldn't have wanted to have all of this time in this weird limbo. Like it's just not worth it. And I think he told you what his intentions were and what he wanted from the very beginning. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about you and that everything else he said is a lie, but that rings true. His actions and all of that stuff. And therapy and all of that stuff. Like I think like as somebody who preaches therapy hardcore, I don't think it's a case of him needing to go to therapy to get over this relationship. No. I think you need to realize that he's not that into you and you need to get over that.
She's trying to fix him.
Yeah.
You can't go in a relationship trying to fix somebody.
Yeah. And you can't, if you guys have been 9.5, 10 months hanging out. You babies. But also, like, if that guy wanted to go to therapy to fix himself, he would have signed himself up already. Yeah. He would have done some research. It's not your job to be his secretary that looks up therapy and is like, here, if you go, then we can be in a relationship. Yeah. Like the coolest, most mature thing you can do at this point is be like brutally honest with yourself and recognize that either one, you really do want a relationship. And if he's not ready, you need to start opening yourself up to other people. Or two, if you really do not want a relationship right now, like just be super, super like uncomfortably honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's not like this is a comfortable situation for the last 10 months anyway. Why not make it a little bit more uncomfortable and walk away?
Yeah, because I think you're trying to find excuses and reasons to get him to be where you are. And if he's not there now, you don't want to
It's all these wishes that you're like, and all these like fairy tales that you tell yourself that like, if he just went to therapy, we could be a couple and we'd be so strong and solid.
Yeah.
That's not, he could go to therapy and then cut it off with you immediately after.
Yeah. And also at the end of the day, it's like, as much as like, really think all of that out and what you think that you want, because do you want a relationship with somebody who, let's say if everything that you said is true, who he is into you, but like he's still so years later, still so hung up over his ex that he can't even get himself to go to therapy. He needs you to force him to go to therapy so he can realize that he does want to be in a relationship with you. Do you want to be in a relationship with that guy?
Oof.
Like
no.
when you are so sure and solid of your emotions and your feelings that you need to handhold him to get to where you are, that to me is just like, that doesn't feel like a secure, stable love. That's going to be like oh, I hope you still like me. Oh, I hope you still like me. I don't want to say anything that like freaks you out, because like you don't feel secure in that.
Yeah. Also, I think none of these answers we're giving you are a surprise to you. I think you called because you already know what the answer is. Yeah. Like you sound very intelligent and like you've done some of your own personal work that I don't think anything we're saying isn't something you've already thought of a million times.
Yeah. Oh God.
But I'm sure you know that already.
Yeah. if she kept listening.
Yeah. She's like, got it. I got it.
I'm done.
Not the answer I wanted.
Not what I want to hear.
I'm gonna go ask him if he wants to hang out.
What would his name be? Brad.
Oh, for sure, a Brad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A Brad with like BRAYD.
Yeah.
Brad.
Brad. You're so hot, Brad. Oh my God. Okay. On to the next.
Hi, Megan. I'm 20. I just finished my sophomore year of college. So here's what my life has been like so far. I got into a relationship with this guy in January. And we had like started talking at the beginning of December and everything was good. Like we went on our first date and it was like, oh my God, I just got my soulmate. Like ridiculous level of like connection. And like I texted him after and I was like, hey, if you just want to be friends, it's fine, because we had mutual friends and like the last thing I wanted to do was make it awkward or like pressure him. And he was like, no, like you're amazing, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know, in a way, he just made it seem like, everything was mutual, and like he went on a vacation with his family, and like he FaceTimed me the whole time, and he was always so into me, and he started telling his parents about me. All of his friends knew about me, and like we dated for like officially dated after he asked me to be his girlfriend for like 3 weeks, and then we got into like barely a big fight, and he broke up with me. And then I confronted him, and turns out he lied about liking me the whole time. And he then proceeded to try to get me in trouble and say that I was harassing him because of it, and like told a bunch of people in my life lies and tried to make it seem like he had to go to a mental hospital, and he had a fake panic attack around me. And when I asked how, he said, oh, well, we all have our talents. You have yours, I have mine. I guess my question is, I'm still really messed up about it. And like, I think maybe hurt more than I should be. And I don't really talk to my friends about it because I think when it first happened, like, it was okay for me to be dramatic and for me to be, like, not okay. But now, I think when I bring him up, people are like, oh my God, why are you still talking about it? But also, like, a sexual assault thing came up, and I had to, like, figure out that the situation that he put me in was bad. And I just think that, like, I still deal with it. Like, I still have dreams about it. I still cry sometimes about it. And he's essentially tried to ruin my life. And some of my friends aren't friends with him anymore, but I still have friends that are. And it really sucks because he lied and admitted to manipulating everybody. And, like, he told everyone, like, yeah, I would have had sex with her, but I would have regretted it right after. And it was a bad decision. And, like, he was like, I liked her personality, just not her body. And so any advice that you could have for me, should I get over it? What should I do? Because I don't know, and I'm tired of crying about it, and I feel like I'm giving him more power than he deserves in this moment. But at the same time, like, it hurts, and I was, like, really, really falling in love with him because in my eyes, I dead ass thought that he was, like, maybe my soulmate. So, I don't know. Any advice you could give would help. Thanks.
Oh, sounds like a fucking sociopath.
Yeah, that guy, what a loser.
What a fucking scary loser.
I know. Wow. First of all, this happened in January.
Yeah.
So it's right now June. that's not a ton of time. So it's totally normal to still feel like traumatized and to still be processing what the fuck just happened to you.
Yeah.
So I don't think your friends that tell you like to get over it, like tell them to fuck off. Like it's, if there's more to there's a lot of vague things that you said, so I don't know fully all the details and the context of everything, but it sounds like there's a lot of intense layers to this that I'm sure you probably felt like a lot of embarrassment about when he broke up with you. And then also it's one of the most embarrassing things is like, one, getting broken up with by a person, but two, like really liking that person and then finding out that they dropped you and that they're like bonkers in the brain a little bit, and to feel like I chose that person, I was attracted to that, I can't even trust myself and my instincts. But it's not you. It sounds like there's a lot of chaos happening here. And I think it's totally normal and fine that you're still crying and thinking about it. Like you shouldn't feel that's just you're gonna cut yourself off from actually like grieving the loss of what happened. It's intense.
Yeah. And I exactly, like I really don't think this is an amount of time that I would, if I was a friend, to be like, get over it. I think like also, an important thing to remember just in general, especially if it's like you're talking to your friends about really heavy traumatic things, it can be really also hard for your friends, as hard as that is for you. I mean, we preach therapy here like crazy, but that's one of the biggest things that I think has been a great discussion as of late in general, is talking about how like your friends aren't your therapists, and you can talk to your friends and confide in your friends, but also with traumatic and triggering things, you also don't know everything in your friends' lives, and like it can be a lot. Like if your friend is really dealing with something even similarly or not similar at all, and they have a lot on their plate and they're not opening up about it can be a lot to require that from your friends. I think in general though, like you should be able to have conversation with your friends about it, and if there are friends who are more able to talk to you about it and like not write you off as being like ridiculous with it, I would lean on them, because any judgmental stuff also, first and foremost, any friends who are still friends with him are not your friends. I am not here for, anyone who has treated me like shit or has been like a fucking toxic, terrible person to me, if any of my friends are still friends with them, like no, like then you're not my friend.
And someone that's admitted to manipulating your friends, like that's a oof.
Like you're just cool with it, like you're like, oh no, I mean it wasn't me, and like they said they owned up to it. It's like
a lot of other people in the world to be friends with.
So many other people. So I would say first and foremost, like I think you definitely need someone to talk to who is going to like listen and be compassionate and like help you unpack everything, because it hasn't been that long, and when you date someone who like, he sounds like a sociopath, and like that the whole thing with sociopaths is the facade, is like when you fall for the image of them and who they want you to, who they are portraying themselves to be. And then when you start to see like behind all of that, and you start to catch glimpses of that, it becomes this like one of the things we've unpacked in my therapy session a lot. It becomes a whole thing, like you said, trusting yourself. And then it becomes this whole internal thing of being like, I don't know when my brain is telling me the truth and when it's telling me, when it's lying to me, because when you're with somebody and you spent time with someone who's like so incredibly manipulative to your own reality, you have a really hard time grasping your own reality.
Right.
Because you've listened to what someone else told you was your reality for a really long time. And even though this relationship wasn't necessarily super long, it made you question yourself. And I think that's going to seep into every aspect of your life, not just your romantic life, is because like it does make you like second guess everything that you're saying or you're thinking or that you're doing or that you're interpreting, of being like, was this actually what is this? Or then it's also, it can make you like, I'm definitely like, I'm such a mistrusting person because of that stuff, where like
you've been burned.
And like I then would like, if someone was like just like nice to me, I'm like, I don't believe it. Like there has like and then I would self-sabotage new relationships because like I was just being nice. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I did not know what that was like. I thought there was an ulterior motive. And so it can be really, really hard. And I think like the most important thing to do is to talk to a professional about that. Again, we plugged in the last one, but in all of them we always have like the affordable therapy like listed in our show notes. But I think like also first and foremost, like give yourself like some time to breathe and some space from this, because like it wasn't just like a breakup, it was like emotionally and mind fucking you. And that's something that's going to take a little bit longer to get over, especially when it's someone who was like so charming. And that is a thing with sociopaths. Like they're so charming and like it was like felt tailor made to you. Oh, yeah. It makes you feel like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. And then it's really easy to play your own mind games on yourself and romanticize the person that you were like, I thought he was going to be my soulmate. Yeah. Yeah. You can think that because that's what they sold you on when you first started. But then you really have to look at the reality of what that person did to you as they unfolded all their layers of like sociopathy. Also, I always think that, and I have to remind myself in the time that like getting over a breakup, especially something that is traumatic like that, it's like mourning a death. And there's 5 stages of grief that if you look it up, it's so maps over like getting over a breakup. Like you're in denial, then you're angry about it and you rationalize and then something and then you accept or you bargain and then you accept. And so it's, of course, you're now still having these moments because it sounds like you're angry about it. You were probably in denial for a long time and now it's finally hitting you and you're mad and you're sad and you don't know why you can't get over it quick enough or pretend that or just cut it off because it sounds like you're not a sociopath. You can't just compartmentalize your feelings like he probably can. So it does affect you deeper and it affects your relationships with your friends. So yeah, go do your work for yourself. Realize that you've seen this guy's true colors and that ultimately people like that, like it'll come to light for people. Like you don't have to do any campaigning for your friends to tell them that he's a bad guy. If they can't see it, they'll eventually find out in some other way. And hopefully you've moved way on by that point. But good luck. It's okay. Your feelings are valid. Yeah. And it's like, it's going to take, everyone's got different timelines on how they get over relationships too. So don't feel stressed out that you're not completely over it overnight.
Yeah. And I don't even necessarily think it's about him. I think it's also about like what he like the kind of person that he was. I don't think it matters the duration when someone's that
used
fucking
car salesman that sold you on this image that turns out wasn't what it was. And then right when you were about to buy the car, they're like, never mind, the car's not available anymore. Bye, get off my property.
Exactly.
You're like, what?
Good. That's exactly how it is. Oh, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Should we go? Is it time for Don't Blame Them? Okay. This is Don't Blame Them. This is when listeners call in with their own advice from previous episodes. So if like someone had dated a sociopath, they would then call in and be like, here's my 2 cents.
Oh, cool.
So what is this one from?
This is from the episode with Jocelyn Davis, season 3, the 20th episode from that season. And the original caller had called because her boyfriend's friend was being like a bad influence on him.
Oh,
okay.
And so, do you remember?
I do.
Okay. So this is someone calling with similar experience.
Cool.
Hi, Megan and guests. I am calling in on the most recent podcast with Jocelyn. I'm calling about the caller who said that her boyfriend has a friend who's kind of a bad influence. I'm kind of speaking from experience, or I am speaking from experience on this. My boyfriend and I have been together for 6 years this May, and his best friend since they were like in middle school was not the best influence on my boyfriend. And it came to the point of where I would get really nervous every time that him and his friend would go and hang out and go out drinking or just even like hanging at home. Something always just kind of ended up getting a little too crazy when he was with him. And my advice and what's something that I've learned is that when I stopped making a big deal about it and when I stopped trying to control him, he realized on his own how stupid it really was. And it ended up also not being a fight between the two of us anymore because, again, he was realizing just kind of how foolish it was. So when I stopped making a big deal about it and when I stopped bringing it up and when I stopped trying to have a say in what he did and who he spent his time with, he actually stopped making those decisions because, like I said, he just kind of realized that it was kind of pointless. So I don't know if that's of any help, but now it is definitely not an issue between us anymore. So anyway, love your podcast. Thanks so much. Hope this helps.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
And that's also a tremendous and beautiful amount of trust that you put in the person that you chose to like be in a relationship with to have like the wherewithal to recognize it on their own instead of you badgering them about it and getting mad that they can't see from like an eagle's eye view, like what the situation is. So that's really cool. Good for you guys.
Yeah, that's so mature. And like, just like such the smarter way to do it that I never would have thought of.
Yeah, I would never trust someone to recognize. I'd be like, you don't see what I see, and then that's a me problem.
Fucking idiot. You're blind. But no, that's genius. And like the idea that, I mean, I always say, which apparently I should preach more because I would have never thought to do this, like expect more of the people that you surround yourself with. Like if you really like them and you really care about somebody, like you should hope that they're good people and expect that they're smart. But I think that's like, that's incredibly impressive. And it's also like, it's the same thing when you let someone like come to the conclusion on their own. Then you're like, oh wow, I never thought of that. And you're like, I'm not the evil bitch. Like this is amazing.
I'm not the controlling girlfriend that's trying to, because there's also, I imagine that if you consistently bring up something that bothers you and they can't see it, then they kind of, that you want what you can't have. Like they want to hang out with that person more just to spite you so that they have their independence in some regard. So letting them feel their independence and then come to their own conclusions is pretty mature and rad. Good job.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by that. I wonder what happened with the original caller. Let us know. Did you do that? If you did, I will be so impressed. These are things that I don't think any of us had to do that.
No.
None of us said that. Well, guys, that's it for this episode. Grace, plug your shit.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple podcasts going on.
You have multiple podcasts.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Not Too Deep, that Melissa works on. That comes out every Monday. And then This Might Get Weird with my friend Mamrie Hart.
Woo, woo.
Comes out every Wednesday. And then I'm at Grace Helbig across all the social medias.
Yes, and I'm watching you cook food once a month.
Thank you. Somehow I got a brand deal that is consistent. And it is bizarre that they support me like that.
I'm very into it, though. If you guys want to call to be in an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners can email us an audio file at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Don't Blame Meme Pod. And check out our Patreon for some bomb-ass exclusive content. Chat rooms, talk to us, talk to each other, make some new friends.
Real fun.
Stalk some people, like more like we can like talk about, you know what I mean? Like you're like, is my boyfriend cheating on me? And then we can all like deep dive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great way to use like your Discord chat.
Honestly,
have people present things and then be like, I need a secret agent.
Thought immediately, we were like, this is what we need.
You should just call it secret agents.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's like, hey guys, I need a secret agent.
Well, we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye. Bye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. Production assistance by Julie Carley. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso, part of the HerPod Network.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go Network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.